What's good, internet? My name is Attack Slug, and welcome to my Money in the Bank 2021 predictions video. As always, let me know who you think will win down in the comments below, and let's get right down to the matches on this card this very Sunday. The kickoff show, the pre-show, begins with the SmackDown Tag Team titles, the Mysterios, and the Usos. And I think this one, they have been heading in the direction of the Bloodline, the Dynasty having all those titles. So I'm going to call the Usos here. I think the only reason you still have Jimmy Uso on TV after that DUI is because they wanted to have this very scenario and have them all have the belts heading into SummerSlam. And also a hot match with a title change to open your pay-per-view with a crowd back in attendance makes all the sense in the world, especially considering the rest of the evening, how it might indeed play out. Now, the main card, the main show, we have the Raw Tag Team Champions, that is AJ Styles and his colossal Omos tag team partner, versus the Viking Raiders, aka the Viking Experience, and they're challenging for those Raw Tag Team titles, and I just don't see that giant man losing a match just yet. Sure, they could pin AJ. That could happen. I just don't see it happening at this current juncture, at least not at this show, before a big show like, say, SummerSlam in a month and a half here. So yes, AJ and Omos retain those Raw Tag Team titles. Perhaps a rematch down the line. Elsewhere on Raw, we have the Raw Women's Champion, the Nightmare, Rhea Ripley, going up against, once again, one more time, the Queen, Charlotte Flair, for that Raw Women's Championship. And I've said again and again and again that if indeed it is all hands on deck, and if indeed we see a return of Becky Lynch, what match would you want to see at SummerSlam? Rhea and Becky, or another Charlotte and Becky? No, please. I'm calling Rhea only because I don't want to see Becky and Charlotte at SummerSlam again. I get it. But please, a fresh match for SummerSlam, that would be most appreciated, WWE. Now, continuing on Raw here, we have a lot of Raw matches here. It is your WWE Champion Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, going one-on-one with Kofi Kingston for that championship. And again, I don't see a lot of belts and crazy things happening until SummerSlam, and I definitely don't see Kofi beating Bobby Lashley here, even with Woods in his corner. Obviously, MVP in the corner of Lashley, that whole thing, but I just don't see Lashley losing at this juncture, when I think the money match would be Lashley and Lesnar, but it seems like we're heading towards a Lashley and Goldberg match for SummerSlam. And again, I don't see him losing there either, because, come on, it's Oldberg. No, please, Vince, stop. But that being said, this is a kind of transitional feud here for Lashley, and he beats Kofi here, but hopefully a good match between those two individuals. Now, on the flip side, over on the SmackDown, we have Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, acknowledge your head of the table, goes one-on-one with Edge. He finally gets his one-on-one match after winning the Rumble back in January and having to deal with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. But no, a one-on-one match between Roman and Edge. And you'd say that it was like spear versus spear, but Roman does not finish matches with his spear anymore. He does that chokehold, so it's not quite that, but still, it's technically both guys do a spear. Who's going to hit that spear better in this matchup? And this one, we have a pretty good feeling that we're going to see Edge and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. And that match does not need a title, considering Seth was going to murder Edge and break his neck for good like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. So the last time that Seth actually had that Money in the Bank. So yeah, that match does not need a title. Roman needs to continue being Roman. And I imagine we get a John Cena and Roman at SummerSlam, perhaps, maybe. That's kind of the word going around. And even then, I don't see him losing there. So the question is, does Roman eventually lose on a cash-in, or does he lose, like, straight up one-on-one pinfall? We've seen him tap out twice, but not in officially sanctioned finishes. Like, he's tapped, but it hasn't been the finish to a match, so it don't count. Anyhow, yes, Roman Reigns still champion at the end of this evening, but the match should be a banger nonetheless. But that is not why you come to Money in the Bank. You come to Money in the Bank to watch the incredibly unpredictable Money in the Bank matches every single year. One of the hardest shows to call, usually. And I mean, look, last year Otis was a Money in the Bank winner. And who would have called that? Not me, I'm pretty sure. But yes, it's going to be a mess. And we'll start here with the ladies, because they usually open the show with the ladies doing their Money in the Bank business. Good Lord! Riddle and Morrison there. So, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Ash, Naomi, Asuka, Zelina Vega, Liv Morgan, Natalya, and Tamina, which are your current tag team champions. So they couldn't, there was nobody else in the division to put in that match, because the whole thing with the injury to Bayley and everything else got all screwed up with their plans, because last-minute injuries can have those issues. So your tag team champions, I would say, cancel each other out in terms of winning either one of those. So that's not going to happen. Liv, I think, is going to end up in a feud with Sonya. So they don't need the thing for that to be in that feud of, I'm getting screwed by management. Guess what? I want to fight management. That makes sense in the long run. Zelina came back, and sure, she's in the match, and she is one of the tiniest ones in that match. Asuka won it last year. Naomi, yeah, I guess. Nikki Ash, the almost a superhero, I think might make the most sense here. Because we know that Alexa has her mind control powers. And you would think that those mind control powers would automatically give Alexa the victory here. But I feel like it's going to be that Nikki Ash, being almost a superhero, is going to be the only one immune to those powers. In the formerly Bliss Cross applesauce. Like the former friends and being almost a superhero is going to give Nikki the powers to not be mind controlled and therefore get that victory somehow, some way. I feel like that visual makes the most sense to me. But again, I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Now, I'm calling Nikki Ash as your women's Money in the Bank. But moving on to the men's side, we have Ricochet, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, John Morrison, Big E, King Nakamura, Seth freaking Rollins, and Kevin Owens. And you've got some names in this match. It is hard to call. I mean, look, it's not going to be Ricochet. That one, easy. But besides that, I can see anybody else besides Ricochet actually getting that briefcase and being able to cash in. I mean, perhaps not win, but the other 7 guys here would look great with a briefcase. Now, I feel like Nakamura, he's doing his king thing now. He don't need that briefcase. I feel like Seth obviously is going towards Edge and does not need that briefcase. I think Morrison is maybe, but I feel like your biggest 2 names here, because I think that Drew is not getting it, because Drew and the modern-day Maharaja are going to be a thing here, and perhaps he costs him the match at some point, or takes him out before the match happens because of his bike. Look, man, I'm just saying that because Drew and Jinder is a thing right now, that he's not winning that briefcase. And also, at a certain point, you don't want the fans turning on face Drew for his constant title shots. Like, seriously, even with that briefcase. So I think the biggest 2 opportunities here that you have are Big E and Riddle. And I'm going to go with Big E. I think that even though it could be hilarious to have Riddle with the briefcase, to have Randy Orton very upset that he has that briefcase, to constantly forget that he has it because he's super high. You know, those Riddle things that would be hilarious with that additional accessory. And certainly the push for him as one of the most entertaining things on Raw right now. Yeah, I get it. But Big E no longer being the IC champion and Big E needing his next main event style push, I think makes a lot of sense at this point, and perhaps heading towards a SummerSlam cash-in that could entirely take place over on SmackDown. Also, I'm not sure they would have two Raw superstars both win Money in the Bank, but I've perhaps forgotten when it's happened before. Look, man, a lot of wrestling has happened in my life. I don't know anymore. So I'm going to say yes, Nikki Ash and Big E, your Money in the Bank winners for this Sunday. But let me know who you think is going to win down in the comments below. I'm Attack Slug. Thanks for watching more videos right here on this very channel. Tune in for those, and I'm out.